Did you know there is actually a method to how you can construct basic sentences? It follows a very clear rule. Let's see what that is and learn how to make clear and basic sentences. Hi, I'm Ajeeth from Capshine. Capshine is a revolutionary learn together English fluency program. With Capshine, learning English is easy, quick, fun, affordable, and effective. And with Capshine, we promise a whole new you in 6 months or less. To begin with, we need to first understand what makes a sentence a sentence. There are parts to it. The most basic part, if you look at it, a sentence is sort of like a story. A story, therefore, has to have an actor or a subject and, of course, an action, the verb. Sometimes these also will have an object, which is what the action is done on. For example, he makes toys. What do you think, or who do you think is the actor here? Who's doing the action? Is it he or is it toys? Well, it's obviously he. So that's the subject, right? So the thing that does the action is called the subject. Makes is the action, therefore that's the verb. And of course, toys is what's being made, therefore that's the object. So how do we create a sentence with this? Let's look at this format itself. What we see is that there's a clear structure. So one way to make a sentence is by using subject, verbs, and object. But of course, we do not speak like this in everyday life. We make slightly more complex sentences. So what are the elements we can add, and what are these elements that we can add correctly to make slightly more complex sentences? Let's look at that. Let me talk about some parts of speech. Nouns. Nouns essentially are the words used to talk about people, things, objects, places, and all of these things. Adjectives are words used to describe nouns, and we will see some examples of these. Verbs are the actions, and of course adverbs are descriptions of these actions. Let's look at each of these and then let's put it together to see how we can make slightly more complex sentences using these elements. A noun. So a noun essentially is a person, a place, animal, or a thing, right? So take a look at this sentence. What is the noun here? Well, the dogs is a noun. Log, being a part of a tree after it's being cut down, is also a noun. My kite, of course, is a noun here. Colorful describes the kite itself, and we'll talk about it in just a second. So those are nouns. What then are words that describe nouns? Well, these are called adjectives, and we're going to see how those look. I have a black dress. So do you notice the noun, dress, and black tells me about the dress itself. So because it's giving me more information about the dress, we call this an adjective. Rita cooked a tasty meal. What are the nouns here? Well, you have Rita, you have meal, and the word that describes the meal, of course, is tasty. It tells me how the meal was. It was a tasty meal. I could also say Rita cooked an expensive meal or a quick meal. All these are adjectives as well. They describe the noun. Before moving on to verbs, let me quickly tell you about Capshine's 30-day free trial. With Capshine's 30-day free trial, you get speaking opportunities as a group and also the ability to learn it together. You also get a personal coach who provides personal feedback and recommendation on your next steps to improve your fluency. And you get daily micro lessons that will help you become more proficient day after day, and live classes that will help you build your foundation and clear your doubts in grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. Great, let's move on to verbs now. What are verbs? Well, verbs are action words, right? So, she is teaching at an orphanage. Take a look at that. What is the action here? Well, it is teaching, of course, right? He read the book. What is the action here? To read. Great. Let's look at what words can describe these actions themselves. These are called adverbs. And looking at this example, Ram ran fast. If you look at fast, this talks about how he ran. So because it describes the verb ran, it's called an adverb. It describes how he ran. Similarly, he talks slowly. Can you distinguish The adverb here? Well, that of course is the adverb because it tells me about how he talks. A quick tip is that usually words that end with ly, well, they're usually adverbs, right? Usually, because not all adverbs end with ly, and sometimes some words that end with ly are not necessarily adverbs. Another example, I write neatly. Well, this is incorrect because I don't write neatly, but that sentence is correct. Neatly is an adverb telling me how I write. Great. Let's put it all together. Let's look at what patterns can be created where we can make more basic or slightly more complex sentences using these things we've learned. So you could have subject plus verb alone. Remember I told you subject and verb is necessary to make a sentence. So they run, so subject and verb. He slept, great. You could also have subject plus verb plus noun. This is very similar to your subject, verb and object format, which is Neha is my friend, right? Or he is a doctor. You could also add a little bit of complication here. For example, you could add an adjective. She is smart. Tells me about who she is. And of course, Rahim was busy. Great. You could also bring in adverbs, subject, verb, and adverbs. Mary sang sweetly. And of course, Jane works consistently. Notice how these two talk about how the action was done. Great. So that's the quick 101 of how to make very basic sentences using different parts of speech and parts of sentences. I hope you found this useful. Make sure you like and subscribe if you did, and hit the bell notification to never miss another learning video like this. Also, don't forget to check out the 30-day free trial. This will help you improve your fluency substantially. You can do this by going to capshine.com or downloading the app from the App Store. Thanks for watching.